David, how are you, brother?
Really good, Carlo. How are you?
That's so good. I'm excellent. It's been a great day.
Good to hear.
It's what is it, Wednesday?
Is it? I don't know.
I'm forgetting the
Welcome
day.
to my home.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
It's amazing in here. This is such a luxe apartment and building. Like walking in was, you were saying before, like the day spa vibes. I was like, yeah.
Let's have a nice waterfall.
It was calming. It was tranquil going into the elevator, and then I'm like, yeah, it's going to be good.
Good. I'm glad the energy's good for you.
It's all about the vibe and the energy in here. What have you been up to today?
Today, I've had a lazy day because it's my week off, but I've been doing this new thing where I'm trying to walk along the beach every morning. So I've been walking to St Kilda and back. It's a good sort of 7-8 kilometre walk.
So we're out on Bay Street in Port Melbourne. So not a bad place to be in Melbourne. And the beach is what, 200 metres?
Yeah, about a block away. Yeah. So just trying to surround myself with water a lot more. I find it really relaxing.
Awesome.
So,
and all the way up to St Kilda and then back.
Yeah, good 7-8 kilometre walk, 2 hours each morning.
Whoa.
Get to check out the dogs as well because there's heaps of people walking the dogs. So
that's it.
On the dog.
That's walking, jogging?
Predominantly walking. If I get excited, I'll jog, but that happens once in a blue moon. But yeah, just try and chill.
Awesome. Do you have music going?
No, I like to listen to my own thoughts, listen to what's going on around. Sound is a good one. Listen to the birds, the waves.
Amazing.
More chilling. Yeah.
It'll be very get you in the present moment as well.
That's what I'm about, especially before I start reading for the day. So it's good to sort of zen me out and sort of sit with my own thoughts and sort of vibrate from there.
Yeah. I love it. There's I'm nervous because I feel like there's a lot of stuff in here. We spoke. Okay, so before I get into that and the whole mediumship and all that, we met at Bloom. So the first event. Yeah,
when you were doing the Bloom talks. Didn't get to talk to you properly, but I did come and see you.
Yeah. And so we're both featured on the Bloom app. Is that right? You spoke at the Bloom. Are you on Bloom?
Not yet. No.
Okay. It's Molly.
No, I'm just teasing. No, so Molly and Chloe did want to get me on at one stage. It was just about recording the sort of.
Are you going to be? Okay.
Eventually.
Coming soon. Yeah. Okay. So we met at Bloom.
Yeah.
And then at the Bloom event, so Bloom World.
Bloom World at the start of February.
That's it. That one, you did a good hour, 40 minutes. Anyway, you did a session.
Yeah, good session.
And I was hosting the day. I was MC for the day. And
did a great job.
We got to meet there, and then we got to talk, I think, after your session as well. And we crossed paths, not backstage, but kind of out. People were talking. And we were like, we need to catch up. We'd never actually properly connected. And then I was like, I got to go. I just moved. And you were like, where are you from? And I'm like, hang on. You're the medium. You tell me.
Yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah.
You tell me where I'm from. And you're like, I'm seeing oranges and I think it was oranges and grapes. And I'm like, this guy's like spot on. Unless you've actually sussed my profile. And you go Swan Hill. And I'm like, ooh, right direction, but you're 2.5 hours away. And
because I saw the Murray River and I knew that we were in country Victoria somewhere. And then I saw oranges.
It's so spot on. Like, again, I don't know if you've ever been on my profile because you would have seen it directly, but if not, that's crazy. And then you're just like, Mildura, and I was like, yes. Okay, yeah. So I was super impressed by that, but then also the talk as well beforehand. I've got a lot of friends that can tap in as well, so it's like, I love this. It's not something that I do, but I'm just so in awe and I admire the skill that you have.
I think you could totally do it, by the way. Surely people told you that before.
I think I do in my ways.
You'd have to. But I think everyone does.
Not at a level that you do.
Yeah.
Which is like next level. So for myself and for the people listening that don't know too much about you, can you give us a rundown of your life from start to where you are now and everything that you do now?
Oh gosh. So I am nearly 33. As you all know, I am a psychic medium. So my whole background didn't really sort of include that in it, though. So I have basically worked in corporate my whole life up until I was 30. My background is sort of legal, so I was working in criminal prosecution is what I call my last sort of official job. But when I was 24, I just started this at a new workplace, and I got recommended to go see a medium. Mm-hmm. And I was really kind of closed-minded. I didn't really believe in it. I definitely believe that when we passed, we went somewhere. Yep. Didn't know where because I was never raised religious or anything like that. But so like I said, I got recommended to go see a medium. I just didn't believe that they could necessarily communicate back to us, spirits, that being.
So what is a medium?
So a medium is someone who has the ability to communicate with those that have crossed over. So essentially connection with the afterlife. But I connect with your loved ones, your family, your friends, you know, people that have been in your inner circle in the physical plane, being Earth.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there more to it?
Well, there's a psychic element as well. So I'm a psychic medium. So essentially when I connect with those in this the physical world, or the spirit world, pardon me, they will come forward and not only will they validate their presence to you in things that are sort of specific to you, but they also will talk about, you know, things that are going on in your life at the moment, with the ultimate aim of wanting to provide guidance and support and validation as well. They will also talk about the future, which is where the psychic element does come in as well. So it can be sort of, again, life guidance and wanting to send you in the right direction, helping to put your mind at ease, helping to make you understand a lot more about yourself or about, you know, your family, what's going on in your day-to-day sort of circle, for want of a better word.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to a medium without any prior experience?
Yeah, so like I said, I didn't really believe in it. At that stage, my grandfather had crossed over, so I was like, well, if she's the real deal, then she will be able to have someone that she can connect with. So I went along as a real skeptic and had my mind blown. For want of a better word, she was sort of raising, so many things that were going on in my life at that stage, and also sort of said word for word one of the conversations I had with my grandfather that, you know, we could sit here for 100 years, you'd never be able to even guess what it was about.
Yep.
And in that reading, towards the end of it, she goes, "Oh, you realise you've got the gift?" And I was like, no, because I was so like sort of opinionated and stubborn back then as well. So this is my early 20s.
So it was me just then saying exactly what I just said.
No. So she's like, I knew it since I first met you, since you first walked in the room. She's like, I actually thought you knew, but the more that we're talking, the more that I realise everything's going over your head. And she's like, yeah, you can easily do what I do. I mean, you vibrate at that level. There's a real sort of understanding sort of in your mind about it. And I was like, well, whatever. But she ran a mentoring class. So we used to go to her house in Berwick on a Wednesday night and just sort of, you know, once a week, sort of sit down and sort of build on that and see what comes forward, and ended up doing mentoring classes with her for about 2 years.
Wow.
Whilst working full-time as well.
Yep.
Still working in legal. And, did mentoring classes with her for about 2 years. And towards the end of those classes, I was really into it, and I started having a lot of friends that would come up to me, or a lot of sort of family friends, wanted me to sort of test my skills, and I was so eager and willing to sort of grow it, and essentially it just sort of built up from there. So I started reading people, once, twice, 3 times a week while still working full time, and had a really big shift in my life around 30. So I was working, as I mentioned, full time in legal. And that was just toxic as all hell. Like a manager of mine who ended up being, a good friend at this, that I knew previously. It just went really kind of what I call Game of Thrones-esque within the workplace, and ended up leaving. And I sort of got to this stage in my life where I was sort of like, you haven't finished your degree. I was studying counterterrorism of all things.
Wow.
And that's the thing. I didn't know what came next, and I didn't know what I wanted to do next. I had no idea what my path included, and the universe kind of threw me in it. So stopped working full time. As soon as I stopped working full time, people were messaging me being like, do you ever do readings during the day? And I was like, well, now I can. Just really grew from there. Within 3 months, I was sort of booking out the week ahead with clients, and 3 years later, here we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So was there anything that came up before you seen that medium where you ever tapped in or felt anything?
Never really. I mean, you listen to a lot of the famous mediums now that have sort of a big profile, and they all reference knowing since they were children, or, picking up things, in their teenage years. I never really had any of that. In hindsight, my gut feeling was always really, really sort of in tune and really quite strong, which I will probably tie in with the spiritual ability as well, because, a lot of people reference their gut feeling as sort of like a suspicion. Mine was always telling me the answer. I think my biggest sort of problem that I face with it is that I just never listened, like a lot of people don't. Not until I started doing the classes and realised that I can feel things and I can hear things and I can see things. I didn't have any of that really until my mid-20s. So not to say that it wasn't there, it was just more that my sort of conscious self really, I believe, blocked it out, or just, as I mentioned, because I was a skeptic, I just didn't allow myself to even sort of pick up on it. So even if it was sort of universe was trying to throw me signs, I was like, no, black and white. Everything's black and white. Everything has to be logical. Like,
because it's then tapping into the metaphysical, which is not in this physical plane.
Totally, and that's what
Yeah.
I had a lot of troubles with at the start, because, like, as I mentioned, like, my mindset and my mind frame was so black and white. Like, there was never any grey for me. Like, not only just working in legal, but, I was really into politics, which is also very black and white and everything. So,
Very interesting.
exactly.
Mix, yeah.
So when I ended up with this whole grey field, it really had to, elevate and sort of evolve my ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Just wasn't used to it. Thankfully, we got there though.
Yeah, which is crazy because, like you said, growing up in that. I think some of my friends that are psychic mediums or I guess intuitive healers and stuff like that, all their teachings are we all have it. It's just like you were saying before, that ability to tap in and notice it, because we could notice, again, we take in how many bits of information every second. Like, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
For us to then cipher through it, we go straight to what's illogical because that's what we've been brought up with.
Exactly right.
And to be able to tap into that source is, to most people, and especially to no, I'm not going to generalize there because that's not right. To people who have never been exposed to it, again, blocked out, wouldn't even take a look at that sort of stuff.
It's just a different form of education in a lot of ways. It's a spiritual education.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So was the start of that, was it you then using it for your own benefit, or was it more so it's easier on other people?
This is the thing. Even now, I still can't read myself.
Okay.
A lot of mediums that I've even spoken to, we do sort of lack the ability to be able to connect with our own loved ones. Very rarely can mediums actually read their own sort of blood, for want of a better word, like their own sort of family, their own sort of friends. So mine was always about what I could provide to other people and sort of how I could assist them. I do learn lessons through them as well at the same time, though, because some of the messages that are passed on to whoever I'm reading will still relate to my life, and it sort of does provide me with a new way of also looking at it. So it's kind of like, I guess, sort of like a backdoor kind of reading even for me. But it's mostly just the guidance.
Yeah, I feel like, so obviously there's a lot of skeptical people. I was one of them until one of my best friends is a psych medium, so it was like, whoa, okay. Yeah. I can't deny this. You're actually like saying things so aligned that how can I not believe this? Then we went on a retreat and she did everyone for 10 minutes and I was like, okay. Like this, you're not just if you're making this up, you're very well rehearsed on what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you did read the room and you were able to pick up certain things, and it probably would have been a lot of things you picked up, but it was 3 different sort of situations that come up. I guess, like, for me, the people that are listening, obviously you guys are conscious. Like, you wouldn't be listening to the Conscious podcast if not. Unless you're just really good friends with me or David and you want to support us, thanks.
But thank you. Yeah, tune in all the same.
You're in the Conscious Collective now. So for those that are skeptical, can you do something right now with me to showcase something?
Like read you right now?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. As soon as we sat down, in my head, all there's, like, I don't know your heritage, but I'm so taken to Argentina in my head. Because my geography is also really strong. So even if I start referencing towns or villages or streets or houses.
Yeah.
But there's a really, don't tell me too much, of course, but just one question. Have you ever been to Argentina? Good.
Yes.
Because otherwise I had no idea where that was coming from.
That was a nod, right? Yes, I have.
A large part of your growth, a large part of your journey, a large part of who makes Carlo today has somehow come from there. And it's even that maybe the seeds that were planted in South America or a lot of it's mindset for you, though. This is the thing, because it's, again, a lot of the seeds that have been planted there that have now made you who you were today. Does that make sense? How long ago were you there?
I was there 2017.
Oh, so it's recent.
So 2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. For some reason as well with Argentina, there's also this focus of, like, don't feel like you're second best, or don't feel like you, like, kind of like, all they're showing me is you as like a cheerleader. And it's kind of like, you can be on the stage as well, or like you can get up there as well. Don't always feel like that you have to be putting your energy into supporting the others. But that can also be back at that stage in life as well.
Okay.
I don't even know if this is making sense to me. It doesn't have to be the trip itself. I think it's more indicative of what is also going on in life at that stage. But if we're going back sort of, 3 years, you know, even from what I know about you so far, even just from what we were saying before, like your evolution in that period has been massive.
Yeah.
The seeds were definitely planted around Argentina though, or Buenos Aires in my head. Like, very strong female energy also does push forward as well.
What was that?
Very strong female energy is also in the room with us. I'm very taken to my chest in particular. Like I'm having a lot of issues with breathing and the heart and the lungs and kind of just like all right through there. There's also a reference of one of your parents needing to be on blood pressure medication or having issues with blood pressure already. It can also be diabetes or cholesterol.
There's nothing present at the moment, but I could make some judgments, yeah.
Does anyone have
My grandfather does
Yeah.
have heart problems. That's the Cirillo lineage.
what about hypertension?
Hypertension? No
High blood
idea.
pressure. Yeah.
No
Because my
idea.
heart's like.
So in terms of heart, that's our lineage. On the men's side, they've all got pacemakers and
Oh really?
all that,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
The ones in Argentina too.
So is your heritage Argentinian?
No, Italian, but they all went to Argentina. Yeah,
Okay, that makes more sense. So you've got family over there.
I do. Yes.
Is that what? Why do I feel like you weren't there to visit them though?
I wasn't. I was there for soccer. Yeah. I was there to watch my brother play soccer, but then me and my cousin that I went with, we went to visit the house that his dad built when his dad lived there, and we seen our cousins there and couldn't talk to them apart from one of them.
Amazing.
But yeah, no, it was a special experience.
So you were there watching your brother play soccer.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like the cheer squad.
Yeah.
Which is what they reference you for.
So he plays for the Pararoos, so the national Australia team,
Oh, really?
the
Good on you.
disability team, and we travel every year to go watch them play.
Do you have a history of soccer yourself though?
Yes.
Perfect.
Was-
Okay, because I feel like I'm kicking the ball.
Yeah, semi-pro in Europe. Yeah.
In Europe?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I should know this because I feel like I'm just like. Because when
Have
you're
you not
talking,
checked out my profile?
I'm
Yeah.
like, Carly, do you play soccer? And it's like Dave, like it's all over his profile. Like, yeah, it's interesting. I kind of feel like we actually need to sit down for like a proper session.
Yeah. Which that's crazy that you went to Argentina and all
Instantly
that
in my
as
head,
well.
all I saw
Yeah.
was blue and white, and,
Yeah.
the flag, and just
Yeah.
take me straight there.
Is there anything about what's the other one what was that?
Liver or stomach or something, like right through there.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, it's coming from that.
Yeah.
It's like call an ambulance. No, I don't. Usually when I get a pain right through there, it is liver, kidneys. It can sometimes be the gallbladder.
Okay.
Whether anyone at the moment has had issues with that, or whether that is also something that can be spiritual, or someone that actually has passed away. But it's like there's like 400 organs there, so that's sort of like, when I get a pain through there, it's like, where are we going with that?
I'm picking a spot here.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's somewhere in my body. Did someone pass from the body? No.
Yeah. I think the one for a lot of people would be how can you tap into people that are here, people that have crossed over? That's something I'm intrigued with as well. Is there anything that you pick up of a person or people around me
At the moment, for those that have passed? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If we tune in, let's do it. So,
Sorry to put you on the spot.
should have pre-warned you. It's like, guys, it's so funny. And this isn't an excuse, guys. It's not an excuse. Recording does interfere.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I was in Los Angeles at the beginning of last year, we did try to do video recordings on a lot of the readings. It gives me the worst headache. The good news is I don't have that at the moment, but I do definitely want to tune in. I mean, like I said, there's a very strong female energy that does come in. There's also younger energy around you at the same time as well. I usually read with my eyes closed. And again, I'm taking some Mildura, but I mean, surprise. I mean, we've already talked about that. I do have to go like that, which is usually my symbol for like the impact, which can also be connections with things like car crashes, motorcycles, pedestrian, bicycles. Now, I'm not saying that anyone's passed in that way, but there is kind of the element of the impact like that. Everything I reference is not a warning it's going to happen either. Like, I don't really think that anyone's going to pass in the car crash. There's connections up in Mildura at the same time, though. So whether anyone actually was in a sort of a serious car crash, like, I'm going back a while as well. Like, this is the thing, because I'm going back sort of more than 5 years.
That is past.
They would have, the car crash may not have killed them, but they would have still had to have been in a serious car crash, or they could have actually passed in the car crash itself. So it's a very strong female energy that also does push forward. It's not her connected with the car, though. Who literally just had a birthday in the family? Unless there is one coming up.
My sister,
How long ago was that?
the 2nd. So, week.
Oh, perfect.
Last
Okay,
Monday.
yeah. Because the only reason, because there's a reference of 3 with a big candle on top, which 3 would be much. And the candle's lit, which means that it's either just happened or just coming up. So if you can connect that with sister, perfect. Terrible taste in men as well. The sister, I don't know whether she has
She's married. Yeah.
Don't let him watch. Because they're all going, like, when we reference the part, or like the energy of the relationship around her, everyone's like, oh. I actually quite like him. I don't feel like he's a bad guy. Sort of like, we'll just dig that hole back. Yeah. There's sort of the references of family, like not liking him at the start, but I feel like they've been together for ages anyway. Like, it sort of feels like, she would have known him as a younger girl anyway. This is more psychic. There's a sort of a reference of them having issues in the fall, which would be me for like April. It's not saying that they're going to the marriage is fine. I'm not worried about their actual connections as a partnership. But he's going to do something that's really going to kind of piss her off in the fall. Are they also traveling soon as well? Because there's reference to travel plans coming up towards the end of the year.
Possibly. With the whole family, yeah. Like with the kids as well, yeah.
They've got 2?
4.
Is it 2 of each?
Yep.
Perfect. Because this is reference to 2. Are they wanting to go to Hawaii? Have they talked about that yet? Have they been before? How about I stop asking questions and tell you? No. Yeah. Because there's reference of Hawaii for them. But I'm seeing Disneyland in my head. But I mean, understandably they've got kids, but there's not a Disneyland in Hawaii. Not that I know. September, October, November, there has to be something to do with the family that's on the move. It has to be with the partners with her or the birthday girl. And that's one with 4 kids. I want to give you something. There's so many stuff. See, this is the thing. As soon as I start reading, my voice goes really quick and everything sort of pops into my head instantly. As a disclaimer, I know that you mentioned that you did go to a funeral recently as well. Yeah. There is sort of the reference of what they call the family friends as well, because they have to bring the family friend circle to that. Or like, something about the music, because they're playing songs. And it's really fascinating from Spirit as well, because everyone up here does look at you like a son. Like, it's like, even if they were like younger when they passed, or even if they like weren't like the parental energy, it's like everyone looks down on you like they want to take care of you like a parent. It's this sort of, like, it sounds corny, but it's this overwhelming, and they better all do it anyway, but it's this sort of this overwhelming feeling of wanting to guide and love and support, and kind of, it's been a really big message for everyone at the moment this year. About sort of how we're guided as the spirit child. But again, I'm just taking to my chest, like, there's a lot of issues with breathing in particular. Because I'm getting a headache right through there as well. I'm going to connect with headache anyway, unless you can connect with anyone that did have a stroke. Because usually that's the same headache I get when I get the recording. But there is sort of a focus of like the headache through there about like stroke, brain tumor, aneurysm, kind of things like that as well.
Okay.
Again, it's not a warning, but yeah.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, let's we wanted to test.
We've got all the pieces of the puzzle.
Crazy. There's so much in that. Like I said, I was nervous coming into this because I'm like, what the fuck is he gonna say?
I wasn't even tuned on. This is my week off. No, I'm just.
This is your week off, and we're recording, which is like the blocking point, but. Crazy. All right, let's go more. Let's go back into you, and your life. And what are you most excited about in your life right now?
I think I'm most excited about not actually having plans for once. My whole life, I've kind of always had like these 10-month goals, these 12-month goals, these 3-year, 5-year kind of goals. And now I've kind of not thrown that away. Like, I've still got ideas about where I want to be, but it's sort of like I'm letting the universe really sort of throw me in the direction that I'm meant to be in. Yeah. And I think a lot of the times in my previous sort of, I call it my past life, when really it's just really 2016 beforehand.
I said that about my soccer.
From 2017. But I think, I've always had all these ideas about who I should be and where I should be and what sort of comes next. And now that I've sort of thrown that to the side and I'm really allowing everything to come in how it should, I'm excited by that. Amazing. Because I don't know what comes next. And I think there's kind of always the fork in the road where some people are daunted by that or some are really excited by that. Yeah. And I think the more that you sort of give in to sort of the path that you're already on, the better it's going to be.
Mm. Would you say you're living your purpose?
It's an interesting question because I feel like at the moment I'm living my purpose to its fullest extent. I know that there's so much more to go. And for a large extent, I don't feel like any of us really know our true purpose until the very end anyway. So...
What do you mean? You're a psychic medium? Like, yeah, you should know, yeah.
No, well, I always say life is classroom for the soul.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest question humanity has is like, what is the meaning of life? And I think, we have to come here because it is classroom for the soul. Like, who we are as the energy needs to experience it, needs to learn it, needs to grow, it needs to influence.
Yeah.
That is our purpose in this life. I think for the overwhelming majority of us, it kind of is like, Spirit references life like a book. Once we cross over, we're able to sort of look down on our life like a book, as in that we have the start date, the end date, and we know all the storylines, the characters, and the themes. I think that ties in with our purpose, of course, but given that, God willing, we're still here for the next few decades at the very least, our full purpose isn't really realized yet. Like I said, I've got ideas about where I want to be, and about sort of who I am now, and sort of, I think I'm sort of fortunate that I understand why I'm here now. But twists and turns are always going to be around the corner.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like we were saying, what can happen in 3 years, 12 months? Like, things can just totally flip.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what do you believe happens to us when we do pass away or cross over?
For me, that also changes nearly every single time I do a reading. But I think my understanding so far, and comes from also a professional point of view, like we do go to what I believe is a version of heaven, but it's not heaven. However, everyone is together. Everyone is incredibly peaceful. Everyone's warm, happy, getting along.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just, again, one of these questions we're not really going to know the answers. I know a lot of people have opinions on it, and I know a lot of, people in my position, a lot of spiritual people have a lot of ideas about it. Yeah. But until we're there ourselves, I don't think we're really going to know. My understanding so far is it's not the end. Yeah. So, wherever we go into the afterlife after being on Earth is not necessarily heaven. But it's not a waiting room either. Like, we're kind of there because we're still learning, and we're waiting for our families to join us again. We're waiting for our friends to join us again.
Mm-hmm. It's like the next
step.
Yeah.
In a step that could be 100 steps long.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually got questioned about this at a birthday, and from a very Catholic religious person.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I grew up in a Catholic household. Italians would go to church and all that fun stuff. My church was actually soccer on Sundays, so I got out of that. But I actually got questioned about this, and she asked me, and obviously her views were going to be towards the Jesus, right and wrong, heaven, hell.
Yeah.
He decides where you go to, and your life is those steps to get there of forgiveness and righteousness and stuff like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm an open book. I'm very open-minded, and I try not to judge as much as I can. So I was like, awesome. What's your view? And then she asked me, what do you believe happens? And I'm like, I'm not there. I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get there.
Yeah, totally. But, even based on that, like, I think a lot of the religious understandings about the afterlife still translate from a spiritual point of view as well, because I'm a big believer in karmic rebalancing, which is that our actions in the physical world, they have to have a balance out. So if we do wrong down here, then it has to be balanced up there. If we're good people down here, then that will be sort of magnified up there as well. That ties in with the Catholic sort of point of view about sinning and repenting in a lot of ways. Again, every single person's welcome to have their opinions. Until we're actually up there ourselves, we're never really going to know. But my understanding from them, and they talk about it every single read, like they want their families and their friends to know that they're at peace, they're healthy, they have a great understanding of their life on Earth, their purpose on Earth. Purpose being the key word again.
Yeah.
And again, how we sort of mentioned as a book, like suddenly everything makes sense to them for the most part. Yeah. They're able to look down on our lives and realize our purpose is for us as well. That's where a lot of the psychic direction will come in. But
yeah, there could be so many different opinions.
Totally.
And who's right, who's wrong.
I don't think any of them are wrong.
That's what. I was just gonna say it's whatever you believe in, whatever works for you. Like at the end of the day, you can't we can't prove someone wrong in that way because it's their belief on that, and that's where I was like, to that lady, I'm like, look, when I get there, then I'll know. But I'm here right now in this human experience, so I'm gonna live it.
Yeah.
And then when I get to that, I'll deal with it then, because
You're not going to have a choice anyway.
yeah,
Just going to get there and be like, all right.
it's welcome,
Yeah.
welcome, and enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's my goal now, is just enjoy this experience, because I don't know
A
when.
lot of people don't.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah.
We don't live it to our full potential. So, if you've got that awareness about wanting to live the full experience now, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, and you get to enjoy life.
Exactly right.
Why not? What is success to you?
Gosh.
This up.
Right.
Yep.
Perfect. I think success for me is completely inner. Success for me is finding the inner peace that I know that I've achieved as much as I can and I've accomplished as much as I can. But it's also, again, breaking it down even further. It's like, well, how do I define accomplishment? How do I define being fulfilled? And for me, that is really part of what I now reference as my goal on this plane, is to provide everyone with their own sort of form of spiritual awareness, or to connect them with their loved ones. In that sense, I don't think I'm ever going to get to a certain age or a certain point of my life where I can define my own success like that. Because for me, it's always going to be constantly ongoing and constantly evolving. A lot of people's first sort of instinct is to define success as wealth from a real, materialistic point of view. And, 10 years ago, I probably would have said the same thing. Success for me would be owning a home, driving a nice car, and, having money in the bank. But, as I've evolved, that's less than 1% of what success is. So, like I said, I think it's an ongoing process, but, I think the success is as long as I can fulfill what I believe is my purpose and continue to go down that path, then I'm successful.
Amazing. I love how you pointed on like that inner peace.
It has to be total inner peace.
Yeah.
So, we can never define our success by what other people think of us or how they would define us.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to find inner peace then.
And that's really all we're searching for when we want the money. It's so that we're peaceful, that we're going to have enough money to do the things we want to do.
Yeah.
It's the financial security that then makes us peaceful, that we don't have to stress for that.
Totally. But also from a financial point of view, like, who are you trying to show that you're successful to? Because it's such a projection onto everyone else. It's sort of like, I've got money in the bank, I drive a nice car, I live in a great house. Well, great, but like, you want other people to see that and them to view you as successful. So again, it doesn't tick the box of inner success or inner peace or anything like that as well. Yeah. It's the age-old saying, money doesn't buy happiness. I actually disagree with that. I think money can buy happiness, but it's also how you use your money to define happiness. Again, if happiness is for you the materialistic side of things, then absolutely money won't buy happiness. But if happiness for you is allowing you the freedom to fulfill your purpose or to fulfill your goals or to free up time so you can dedicate more of your life to something that provides inner peace, or as Marie Kondo would say, spark joy, then perfect.
Can money buy inner peace?
No. It's a tool that can help get you inner peace, but it's not the be all and end all.
Amazing answer.
Which may just contradict what I just said, but I'm not sure.
I
nothing can buy you inner
like
peace, because inner peace is invaluable. Money is finite. Money is a currency.
Yeah. It's
at the end of the day,
value exchange.
Exactly right. At the end of the day, money itself is just, plastic or metal.
Yeah.
That can't provide peace.
But we can use it.
We can use it together. Yeah.
What is the worst thing that has ever happened to you, and how is that the best thing that has ever happened to you?
Again, it goes back to what I was sort of saying before with my, my whole previous experience with employment. As I was saying, my whole legal background for me went for, 12 years. I always felt so trapped. I always felt like I just wasn't doing what I was meant to be doing. I had no idea what I was meant to be doing. As I said, I was studying counterterrorism. Like, I'm still into that, but it's not my path. It got to 2016. I was, in my employment with, I've been there for a few years. Got really toxic. It was just a toxic environment in general, but...
but you kept doing this thing for a long time.
Yeah, because I had no idea what else I was meant to be doing.
Okay.
Ever since the element of being trapped, like I knew I shouldn't be doing that, but I didn't know that mediumship or, the spiritual path was the path I was meant to be on.
Yeah.
And
So just kind of put up with it.
Yeah, put up with it.
Even when it didn't feel good.
Nah. I
Yeah.
was constantly changing jobs as well and just still couldn't find my fit because I thought it was the job itself, when really it was just the whole field.
Yeah.
So yeah, got to mid 2016, sort of played Game of Thrones in the office place and really lost hard. And it's all just full of spitefulness. Like, I basically was on the verge of getting pushed out of that job for something that I had nothing to do with, but that was payback for them. I'm still not bitter, am I?
Yeah.
No, I've totally moved on from that because I understandably the bigger picture now. And that was the thing. So I was nearing 30, still hadn't finished my degree, technically unemployed, didn't really have any what I, inverted commas would classify as skill. And that was really the worst part of my life at that stage, because I was sort of like, who am I? What am I doing to define who I am to myself or to my path? And in hindsight, it ended up being the best thing because it really left me with no other options but to really follow what felt right to me or what felt like my true path. And again, the universe helped me out in that sense because it started sending people my way wanting to book in for readings or, they always say, find what you love and it will never feel like work. And for the last 3 years, I felt unemployed, even though I've been really busy and it's been the busiest period of my whole life. So what turned out to be like the worst part of my life at that stage led me to this, which has been the best.
And I would say that was like you were saying before, like your purpose work of something that you feel really called to do and that you really enjoy. How can other people who may be in that same situation, not taking from what I said about my story from 12 months ago yesterday, what can people do to find their purpose? How can they find their purpose?
I think
if they're in that moment where it's like really they're struggling with who they are and what they want to do.
I think it really comes to digging down as to what parts of yourself that you are struggling with. Like, what is it about your current situation that you don't like or that you feel trapped by or that you feel like isn't working out how you want? It's a lot of inner work. It's really digging quite deep because, every water leak has a hole in the tap once you work out where the hole is. And I think, again, it comes to this really big focus on self-awareness about what makes you happy, what makes you want to get out of bed in the morning, what makes you feel fulfilled. And once you combine those two things about what you want to change and what is where you see yourself heading, that's when you can work out what your purpose is. I think a lot of us put a lot of focus on feeling like we need to know all the answers instantly. Or that if, something in our life isn't working out, then, it's too late to change or we've failed or that we're never going to get there properly. We have the ability to wake up every morning and redefine who we are. Whether that is our purpose or whether that's, our goals or our path. But each sunrise brings a new beginning. It's really deep.
That's beautifully said.
Yeah.
This is going to be clipped and quoted.
I'm already picturing that.
David's quotes.
So, if you're struggling to find your purpose, work out what it is that makes you feel like you're struggling. What is not working out for you? What do you love in life? I always say, and Spirit always brings it up in readings as well, go to the light at the end of the tunnel and work out what you want that to be and then work your way back.
Reverse engineer.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And once you do that, in a lot of ways, if you're authentic to who you are, you're authentic to yourself, you're self-aware, you're not going to fail.
Yeah.
And, the age-old saying again, if you fail, it's sort of like there's no such thing as failure, there's just lessons.
Yeah.
So, it does tie in with the age-old belief as well that, every chart of success has to go up like this. Never does. It's always like, back, and then up again. And, if as long as you understand that, you're winning.
Yeah, that was so powerful, that section in there. Like, so much value for everyone listening and watching.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you've been given?
The best advice? I'm going to quote a Macklemore song. His song, Glorious. My mama told me never bow your head. Woo! My mum always said, never bow your head. Yeah. It's like, as long as you're proud of who you are.
I thought you were going back to like thrift shopping or something.
Buy a cup for 99 cents. Yeah. Best advice I ever got. Just don't bother buying $600 t-shirts. Just go to the thrift shop. But as long as you stand by who you are, never bow your head in pressure. That's the best advice.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. It's sort of like, as long as you've got the self-awareness of who you are and your own abilities, your own passions, your own, what you can provide to the world, don't bow your head to that. People are always going to, argue against you, or they're going to be negative. It's just their own self-projections. It's not a reflection on who we are. So never bow your head.
They're going to have their opinions, their perspectives on
Totally.
on everything, but it's only because their point of view is what they do and their values are right. And it's
Exactly
like, yeah,
right.
but that's unique to you.
Yeah.
Your values and your wants, your light is yours.
Yeah. Other people's opinions of me are none of my business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing to actually get to that point
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you
yeah.
really like understand and embody that.
Yeah.
But when you do, and like I know I'm at that point too,
Yeah.
and it's so light.
That's the thing. It didn't happen overnight. Like
Yeah.
this for me really took from the age of like, God, it's from 5 onwards. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
Exactly that. Never bow your head. Other people's opinions of you, other people's negativity towards you, is just a projection of what they feel within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, always focus. If I was to talk to my 16-year-old self, probably tell him to pluck his eyebrows for starters, but and there is a thing called fake tan, but you'll get there. But that's the thing. My biggest advice to my 16-year-old self is always never bow your head.
Mm-hmm.
Who you are is who you are. For anyone that doesn't know, like, I'm gay. Surprise, but like, and I struggled with that, and and it's very internal. Like, I had a great supportive family. All my friends were supportive, but I think for me, again, it was putting so much emphasis on so much focus on what other people would think or what other people would say or how other people would view me.
Yeah.
If they don't like homosexuality, it's nothing to do with me. It's their projection onto me. And once I realized that they're allowed to have their opinions if it doesn't affect me, that's it. But we can combine that into the wider field. It doesn't have to be about homosexuality. It's just in general, like, other people's opinions of you will never be able to affect who you are.
Yeah.
If you're rock solid, you're rock solid.
Yeah. And when you step into that and own that, you don't let those other things affect you. Because it's like, there's so much truth in that, because whatever you decide, whatever your sexuality, religion, anything like that, if you're owning it, again, it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, cool, that's what you think.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you're not hurting anyone, if you're, if your ultimate goal is to have a positive impact on yourself and those around you, then whatever.
Yeah. That's so
simple.
awesome. And a very impactful thing to tell a 16-year-old. I know me at 16 was like trying to be something else to try and prove to everyone else.
It's exactly like my whole 16-year-old self was always about trying to fit in with other people, and if the people at school that I didn't like thought that I was cool, then I would be better off. Like, and that's but and I think all 16-year-olds do think like that in a lot of ways, because
to be accepted, to be
exactly
part
right.
of the group.
We don't reach a certain age where suddenly we know who we are. Yeah. I think even for us, like, you're in your mid-20s, I'm nearing my mid-30s. Like, it's still a work. We don't have all the answers yet. We never will have all the answers. Yeah. And life in general when you're 16 is hard enough. Just because not only do you not really even know who you are or what your path is in a lot of ways yet, it's sort of like everyone else is influencing you. There's the element of wanting to fit in. It's the element of not wanting to stand out. When in reality, we have to stand out, because that's what makes us us.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is the star in the sky at night.
Yeah. And at 16, it's what are you doing for the rest of your life? Make these big decisions now. I know that pressure for me was just like,
I had no idea. That was the thing. Like, there was no way that I would have known that at 33 or at 30 I would have been a full-time medium if someone told me that when I was 16. That, I also went to a school that put a lot of pressure on the students about, you have to go to university. If you don't go to university, then, oh my God, your life is over. In reality, it's sort of like, how many people leave school at 16 or 17 or 18 and they're still working in the same industries, or still have the same, the same values, the same mindsets, the same goals, the same purpose. Life is constant evolution. So as long as the 16-year-old self is aware of that you're not even going to be the same person in a year than as you are tomorrow, then, roll with the punches.
Yeah. Constant evolution.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every single moment. We're the only ones that drive ourselves. No one else has the ability to grab our steering wheel. So The 16-year-old self needs to realize that. Yeah.
Grab hold.
Grab hold.
Your own steering wheel.
Yeah.
Stop letting other people drive the car when you're in the front seat.
Well, exactly right.
That's fucking dangerous.
Yeah. They're grabbing the wheel. They're gonna, if they're grabbing the wheel, they're gonna
crash it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a great analogy.
It actually is. It's perfect.
Good work.
Cheers.
We did that.
Good work, guys.
How can people be more fulfilled in life or feel more fulfilled in their life?
I think fulfillment is so inner. And once you realize that you already are fulfilled, then you're already there.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about self-awareness. There's, in a lot of ways, I don't really feel like there's much in life that we can necessarily grab in the physical sense that is going to be like the jigsaw piece that makes us feel whole.
Yeah.
It's all the inner understandings. It's all such a big focus on self-awareness again.
Oh, let's stay on this. This is really, really good, and I like how you've said that.
Yeah.
So it's not about finding the one thing, the person, the relationship, the job, the purpose, the money, the car, all these outside things that we all search for that are going to make us, complete that puzzle piece. It's the inner understanding of ourselves that's a constant thing.
Yeah. No one's broken. So at the end of the day, we're already all fulfilled in our own ways. It's how we view our fulfillment. And of course, we can expand on that, of course.
Please do.
Yeah. No, but I mean, in general, it's sort of it's all these ideas in my head. I was like, let's get it into words, guys. Fulfillment is... Leave that one with me. We're on a path here, Carlo. I know we're going to get there. It's a lot of sort of inner work for me even to realize what fulfillment actually entails. Even from a day-to-day level.
I love where you've gone with it because that whole... a lot of people are searching for that one thing, the one idea, the one person, the one thing, and it's like when I was looking for that in business or what I wanted to do, it was like, if I had this one business and that took off, that would complete my life. And it was like, I did that one thing and it felt really good at the time and it was good for this amount of time. And then another thing felt good.
Exactly.
So then I went to that. And I think that's the same in relationships. Sometimes you're with that one person at the time. The girl I was with at 16 felt like the one. I was ready to marry her, all of that. And then it didn't work out. And it was like, but I thought that was the one thing. And it's like, if I keep searching externally for the job, for the income number, or all of that, it's never really going to hit that inner peace or that inner fulfillment.
No, totally. And humans by nature...
You're allowed to have them, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's all goal setting. But, humans by nature, we're so... I don't know if fickle's like the right word, but, we all have these things. It's sort of like, okay, if I get this and I'm fulfilled. You get there. Are you fulfilled? That's the thing. It's sort of like we always set the next goals. We always set the next targets. We always set the next sort of what we see as our purpose sort of setting. Yeah. And until we realize that, again, like I said, that fulfillment's all inner, or sort of how we view ourselves. It's sort of like you can still reach your targets, but you're never going to be fulfilled.
Yeah. I think it was a good conversation today with a friend who we were discussing another client, not the personal things of that, but like a situation where, he wanted to have the Mercedes, he wanted to have the certain business, certain income, and the certain girl, and he got all those things. But when he was on the phone to me, he was in the car going, but I don't like who I am. And I'm
totally
like,
right.
Yeah, like for me, it makes me go, I know that feeling. Like I think life is too short to not like or enjoy who we are and to enjoy life. The life that we've got. That's why I do what I do. The programs I run, the podcast I run, because one, it fulfills me, but it also impacts other people to awaken to that. And hearing that, again, I've been there, but hearing that from so many people these days is like, it needs to be out there more.
Totally.
The conditioning, the programming, that's a very been programmed. But the conditioning we've had growing up was that this body, this job will solve all your problems.
And I think we are programmed to think like that. I don't think program is the wrong word to use there. In a lot of ways, programming or making us programmed. Whether it's our school that does it, whether it's our parents that do it, whether it's our circle that does it, they always do it in our best interest because they think that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
And the society that we may have created for ourselves, or the puzzles that were created for ourselves, it doesn't really work on inner fulfillment. So, if you're programmed to think a certain way and you get there, whether it is, as you mentioned, like, I've got the car, I've got the girl, I've got the house, and then you actually get that, and then you're like, I feel so shallow though, or I feel so like hollow,
empty.
And that's the thing. And it's not that I've spent my whole life, not doing that. Like, I've still had those materialistic goals that I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
In certain senses, and then I got there and I was sort of like, okay, but this isn't it. Like, it's kind of like the holy grail at the end of the day. Like, what are you actually seeking? But really put the holy grails in there. Open it up.
Ooh, and we're all searching for it outside.
Yeah, totally. When really it's all inner.
And that's the inner peace. The understanding of self.
Totally.
Or
the authentic self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncovering that and just continuing the work on that and to understand that.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that you can't get jigsaw pieces from outside and use them to sort of, complete your puzzle. But yeah, inner fulfillment or fulfillment is always going to be inner.
I like that. I like it a lot.
I need a transcript of what I've just said.
Yeah, we will. It's all on YouTube. What is one piece of advice that you would give to everyone that would improve their life so much? One thing that's like, could be small, could be big, that they could do in their life, maybe daily, or start implementing into their life that would make a massive impact on their life?
For me, it totally comes from spirituality. So the one piece of advice I could give everyone is just always understand your loved ones in spirit are right by your side. They're also helping direct you. They're also helping push you in the right path. They're supporting you. They're validating your every moves. There's nothing that we're doing alone. And I think, a lot of people now really have sort of this element of disconnection or detachment, even in the physical sense, even where a lot of us are feeling alone. So it's understanding that they're guiding you as well.
You've always got guidance.
Totally.
In my last session with my coach, who is a psych medium, Adriana, shout out. I asked who are my guides, who's on my shoulder, because she did it to someone in front of me, and I'm like, I want to ask, but not to her in a session, because then I feel bad using her for her talents outside of work. But and I found out it's my pop, and I was like, I knew that all along, but having that validation was like, yeah, cool.
Our guardian angels are our loved ones.
Yeah, and she's like, use him, like get him to do shit for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Find a car park. Find an opportunity.
I do it, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't not missed out on a car park yet. So yeah,
how many car parks were down there before? I was like, it's Port Melbourne. It's going to be packed. And I'm like, Pop, go get me one.
Exactly. Around 5 minutes before you got here, it was all full. No, but that's the thing. It's sort of like, they have our best interests in heart. They are our loved ones. They are still them. Just because they've crossed over into a different plane doesn't mean that they don't have the same personalities, the same memories of us, or the memories that we have of them. They've got our best interests at heart. They're the ones still guiding us.
Just such a special thing to understand and to feel.
Totally.
What is consciousness to you?
Consciousness is a really interesting sort of thing for me. I think it goes on two different levels. There's always the consciousness of how we view ourselves in the outer world. So for me, it's consciously being aware of your surroundings and how that impacts you. But consciousness is always it's an inner awareness as well. It's having a conscious understanding of your inner thoughts, your existence, for want of a better word, as well, and how that impacts. So I think the more that we connect all the dots, the more conscious that makes you. It's an understanding of self. It's an understanding of your own beliefs. It's an understanding of your existence, and how that impacts on the outer. Yeah,
that's almost word for word of my description of it. So
perfect.
That's awesome.
I know, because they told me numbers.
Yeah, I'm listening, going, what can I put into your mind? It's exactly those mind. No, I love it though, and yeah, especially a lot of people do say it's all the inner. It's like, yeah, but it's everything. It's everything and anything.
Yeah.
And no one and nothing.
Totally, it's everything and it's nothing at the same time.
Where can people find you, connect with you, book in for a session?
Yeah, totally. So all through my social media. So on Facebook, it's David the Medium. Instagram is David the Medium. Send me a message. comment on my posts, get in touch.
Yeah.
Bookings are all released via Facebook, so I'm doing it in sessions at the moment. So the next release will be at the end of July.
Whoa.
End of June, pardon me.
You booked out till then?
Yeah, well, yeah. So booked out to the end of July at this stage.
Whoa. It is start of March,
It's
mid-March.
nuts. Yeah, so we did a release at the end of February, and I sort of released them in 3-month blocks, and it got booked out in 2 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's nuts. So it sounds
guys.
so corny, but I'm so grateful for that as well.
No, that is a testament to you and what you do and the value you provide to others and how they see that value.
That's my purpose.
How amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to leave the listeners with? Any message? Final thoughts?
I think the final thing is, for me, never doubt who you are. You know, every little thing in your life is serving a purpose, or it's creating who you're going to be. And I think the more that we pay attention to the littlest things, because nothing is a coincidence, everything is shaping you to be who you are. And the more that you embrace it, you're going to get there. The light is always at the end of the tunnel if you're feeling stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not feeling stuck, then there's so much more that you can give to everyone else as well.
And you've always got that guidance.
Totally. And they're looking after you. That, as we said before, your loved ones, they're supporting you. They're looking down on you. They have your best interests at heart. The more that you include them in your day-to-day life, the more that you talk to them in your heads, the more that you acknowledge their existence, they're going to make it very clear to you they're around you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as a coincidence. A good thing for me, if I'm driving, I can drive past 50 streets and I'll look up suddenly and I'll see Peter Street, and Peter was my grandfather. Littlest things matter.
I love that. I notice those things too. So it's like, oh man. And that's why I ask, does everything happen for a reason, or does everything happen and we give it reason?
Everything happens for a reason.
Okay.
Because it ties into my theory that life is a classroom for the soul. So everything is teaching you something. Sometimes it may not be a good lesson, but everything's still teaching you.
Or a fun one. But it's a lesson.
It's a lesson all the same. So, it's an interesting way that you word it, because I think a lot of people do put emphasis on everything that happens. But in that sense, everything still does have its own purpose. Yeah.
I love that. I like to end this with acknowledging you.
Thanks, Carly.
For spending so much time with me and energy and agreeing to be on this. Like, obviously we've only caught up like once at Bloom, but yeah, there is such a good energy about you.
Likewise.
And you're like, that's because I'm a psych medium. No, it's just ever since we met that day, I was like, I want to know more about you. And I know that there's something special about you to share your story, your beliefs, your thoughts, your value. And obviously this whole episode, like, mind blown myself, but I'm sure the listeners as well, and the viewers. And for me, it's that I'm so happy and grateful that I've had this time to share with you, but also that I get to cross paths with people such as yourself that care about people, but also are doing the inner work. And I've it hasn't been smooth sailing, but you've been able to come out of that and go, these are the most important things in life. And now I can share that with others to help improve their lives. Man, that is special.
Thank you.
And just so grateful for this connection, and I can't wait for like what else we collaborate on, because this is going to be awesome.
We should do a song or something.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Pleasure.
It's been fun.
It's been real.
If anything has stood out to you guys listening or watching, make sure you take a screenshot. Well, first add David, because his posts are awesome, and you can stay in this conscious world. But then also in the consciousness world, not the conscious world. That sounded very like, if you don't, then you're not conscious. Anyway, that's putting people in a box there. But make sure you screenshot, share this on your story. I'm sure David would like if people reach out and say, the things they got out of this.
Come say hello, guys.
Yeah, I love it too. Like reaching out, saying, if anything has stood out to you, inspired you, triggered you even. Maybe you didn't know much about mediumship or psychic abilities, and maybe you're curious to find out more. I can't answer those stuff. David can. But reach out. And if something in this can help someone share it with them. I would appreciate it. There is, you can, if you feel like it, go give a rating, 5 stars, and a review, because that always helps and boosts this up, and it also spreads this wisdom viral. So until next time, take care, everyone. Peace.